So 2 or 3 months in at the Blacksmith's Helmsley as the holding head chef, and one evening receptionist came to see me in the kitchen, looking all very lovely, and said, "I have a gentleman here called Patrick Dossman, who is here to work with you, chef, for in your kitchen. He's very lucky that I speak German, and Patrick's come from Leeds Bradford Airport. He has travelled from Strasbourg. He's been working in for a chef called Roger Verge in Mougins, and before that he was working at Au Crocodile in Strasbourg. You know all about it, and he's looking forward to meeting you. Unfortunately, Patrick doesn't speak any English, and then Patrick gave me a piece of paper that said hello on it, and then took the piece of paper back and put it in his pocket. On the back of the piece of paper was obviously German for hello. So I actually wanted to write something on a piece of paper and give it back to him, but Patrick came in, sat in the office and looked around and stood up. He was the size of a small house, huge, massive guy with huge muscles, and looked very, very serious. He was about 7 foot tall, and when he shook your hand, he snapped your fingers off and ate them. This was a forceful character. So I learned very quickly the only way to kind of work with Patrick was for Patrick to understand that you were as mental and as lunatic and as tough and as horrible as he could be, but he never was, because we had this kind of relationship. And everything that was English was shit, and the food was wrong, and the ingredients were wrong, and what we did with them, he didn't understand, because he was all about being German and Strasbourg and all the rest of it. But given time, we began to understand each other, and he was a big helping hand in the business. His speciality was making terrines. His brother used to work for a terrine company, so we used to have a lovely board with a cloth on it and a huge big goose made of wood, and we would take the board to the table and put it on a stand in front of the customer, and they would have a choice of 4 or 5 different terrines all wrapped in cloths. It was good. Yeah, he was a tough individual. At the same time as this happened, I was lucky enough to reminisce, I suppose, about my time spent working for this gentleman, Nico Leathernes, who had 2 stars. I went to work with him in Shinfield, and it was a great time. His mincing of the mushrooms and what we did with the tomatoes and the Madeira and what he did with the tarragon and don't use the so-and-so and save this, and every single thing he did had a method, an ingredient, a way, the truth, the life, the presentation, how he dealt with it, how he shredded it, how he chopped it, how he wrapped it, it went on. There was no making anything up. Every single thing he did had a home, and there was a process and a system, and yes, you've guessed, there was a procedure. So working for Nico was very much, this is a style, this is how we do stuff. I love the guy. He was tough, very, very no mess around character, but his food was very, very consistent and very good. So the interesting thing was, Patrick had just come from working at Verge, Mougins, South of France, and Nico actually got inspired because Nico, very similar to Raymond Blanc, he was self-taught. So Nico had gone to work for Roger Verge and been heavily influenced, because Nico would remind you, I never learnt anything. I only was influenced. So Blanc and Nico both were self-taught. Patrick had come over from there, so I began to understand some of the mentality of how these people kind of operate, and it's all very much a set way to do every single thing. So we decided to do away with the menu, and we were going to write the menu every single night at 10 o'clock. We literally were going to reduce the stock holding like hell. We were going to buy fresh every day, or use up stuff, and I mean use up in the nicest of sense. And we would use sardines because they were a good price, and the fact they were their very best. We would keep 20% of the menu set, as was our house specialities. The other X amount of dishes we would change every single day. We would then record on tiny little index cards a little drawing of what the leek dish was with the cod and how to make the sauce. You'd have a little card that told you how to make the sauce, and a little card that told you how to sear the cod and how to sit it on the stewed leeks. You would then have little plastic sleeves, so on your fish fridge you'd have 4 different plastic cards every night, and that would tell you how to make the dishes. Every time we made a new dish, we recorded it. In the beginning it was tough, and we had 15, 20 dishes. When you had 70 and you had 20 cod dishes, you could change the dishes every single night. So stock holding was lowered, More creativity within the kitchen, ever-changing menu. The customers didn't come back to the same old bloody thing, which you could argue in some ways some restaurants are based upon the customers having the same old thing, which I'll tell you about later.